Good evening, my dear students. I'm very sorry for being late today because we have examination, and that's why I was late. I'm glad to give you regards, and I hope all students were been in the last semester now already, and we start our lecture course again. My name is Professor Starchik, and I hope we will stay all course together in the spring semesters. If you hear me clearly, спасибо большое. If you hear me clearly, please let me know about the quality of the translation. I'm waiting for your response. I see that the video translation, the stream is low, but I hope you see. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And today's topic is the digestive system. That is the second lecture. The first one we had in the end of the autumn semester, and now it's time to talk about another digestive organ. That will be large intestine, and two large glands of the digestive system called liver and pancreas. If you are ready, let's get started. And we start from the large intestine. Take a look how is the name of the large intestine. I put here the Latin name, intestinum crassum, and Russian name as well. It is called толстая кишка. And different part of the large intestine, sometimes we call colon. That is the Greek name. Here, the picture of the large intestine. As I said, colon, this is the Greek name. You see different part of large intestinum in the human organism. First is the cecum, that we call this part. Then all of this long tube we call colon, and the end of large intestine is rectum. That is the final and the last part of the large intestine. Here you see the topography of the large intestine in the abdominal cavity. You see that cecum, let me remind you that we divide the abdominal cavity in the three levels. First one is it is the first is epigastrium, second is mesogastrium, and the third one is hypogastrium. As you see, the colon is located in all three parts. Cecum is in the hypogastrium, then colon ascendens and colon transversum, and the part of colon ascendens is near to the epigastrium. Mostly those part of large intestine are located in the mesogastrium, in the department number 2. And colon sigmoidum is this part, and rectum are located also in the lower part of the abdominal cavity. Let me show you internal structure of the large intestinum. This is a colon wall structure. You see that typical layers in large intestinum are the same layers we can see in another organ of the digestive system. You see the first layer, named mucosa, is the biggest part, the thicker, the thickest part of the colon wall. And here we didn't see special villas like in the small intestine, but we see epithelium, cubical and prismatical epithelium with some crypts where located intestinal glands. They produce mucus, and the special fluid which help to move the undigested food and form feces. You see also a lot of vessels coming into the mucosa, and some of the green structure here, which is the lymphatic node. This is the lymphoid tissue, which is the tissue helps to fight with microorganisms, viruses, and etc. This is the organ of immune system. The next external layer we call submucosa. This is a thin but very strong part of the colon wall, because it consists a lot of fibers, connective tissue fibers, that is like a soft skeleton of hollow organs. And you see that a lot of blood vessels like arteries and veins come through this thin but strong layer. Next layer is muscular, or the muscular layers. It is built from the cells, muscular cells, into, and it is divided in two layers, circular layers of muscles and longitudinal layers of muscles. As you see, circular layers is inner layer, but longitudinal layer is external layer. And the most external covering of the colon is layer we called serosa. This is another name of peritoneum. This is special serosal covering in abdominal cavity, which covers a lot of organs, and the colon is not an exception. Serosa helps to move all organs in abdominal cavity. This is the colon. That was colon wall structure. Here is a more detailed colon wall structure with the special columnar epithelium and lamina propria. This is a small muscular layer in mucosa, which help to produce the special structure like rings, and produce such small cavities and fissure on the surface of the colon. Different cells like absorptive cells and goblet cells, they secrete different they have different activities. Absorptive cells absorb water, and the main function of colon is to get water from the food and transport this water into blood vessels. And goblet cells secrete mucus. This is a special fluid on the surface of internal layer on the surface of mucosa, and that help to move undigested food. Next picture is anatomical and histological structure of the appendix. This is a small part of the cecum, and this is a rudimental organ which consists of the same layers. It is mucosal, here is mucosal, submucosal, muscular layers, and serosal layers. But we see a lot of green structures here. Some of them are large, some of them are small ones. And what is this? This is the aggregate lymph nodes, and these solitary lymphatic nodules are the organ of the immune systems. There are a lot of such lymphatic nodules in vermiform appendix. We call this small part of the cecum. Let me show you. This is the appendix, and inside of them we always see lymphoid tissue, which symbolize that it reports that this organ is also the organ of immune or lymphoid system. We will talk later about lymphoid system. That will be another lecture of our course. The muscular layers consist of external layers of longitudinal smooth muscles, and we see these layers on the surface of the large intestine. This is the special strips, and unlike other parts of the digestive tract, this portion of longitudinal muscles are good visibles, and they form three bands called tenia. This is the right name, tenia. We could find three tenia: methacolic, omental, and free. This one is free, but you also see another tenia. It calls methacolic, and on this surface in the transversal column we could see the omental tenia. This is the tenia are specific characteristic of the large intestine, as well as another features like haustrom of colon. This is parts of this is a portion of the wall between the narrow or between fissure called the haustrom. In Latin, this is a haustra coli. The third feature of the large intestine is the fatty appendices, and fatty appendices are visible on the surface, and that is not the same like vermiform appendix, because that is intestine, but fatty appendices, they consist of the fatty tissue, and such fatty appendices are visible only in the large intestine, but we couldn't find these appendices on the small intestine, only on the large one. And the fourth characteristic of the large intestine are semilunar folds. That is internal structure visible from the internal surface of the large intestine, and these folds divide the whole large intestine, the whole colon, on the haustral parts or haustral of colon. What kind of function we describe, we could say about, we could call about colon. First of all, that is intensive absorption of water from the heme. This is a part, this is a final study of the food which is located inside of the colon, and absorption of water absorption is one of the colon function. The second function is breaking down fibers, special fibers. The fibers from the vegetable foods we call in Russian cellulosa fibers. It is not possible to digest fermentative digesting process with such fibers, but inside of colon live a lot of bacteria that help us to break down the fibers. That is the second function. The third function is excretion of metabolic products. Some of unuseful products come into the colon and get out with the heme, with feces. The colon is responsible for synthesis of vitamins. Some of vitamins in K and B groups are the product of the colon. Colon also secretes mucus and help feces to eliminate feces. And as you see, the main characteristic and main function of the colon is formation, accumulation, and excretion of feces. I hope you know what feces are, what feces means. Okay. Here, the picture of the first part of the large intestine called cecum. The cecum is a pouch in the lower right abdominal quadrant, inferior to ileocecal valve. Here you see the small intestinum. Actually, it is the part of the small intestine called ileum, attached to the cecum with the anatomical structural junction, and this junction or attachment is called ileocecal attachment. And you see the vermiform appendix as a part of the cecum. As I said before, the mucus of the vermiform appendix, as well as the as well as the mucus of the cecum, is densely populated with the lymphocytes, and this is a significant source of immune system. Initially, in the embryo, the cecum and the appendix have the same lumen. It means that diameter in embryonic diameter of the vermiform appendix and diameter of the cecum are equal. But it is only in embryo period when we were very small. But then they later, due to uneven growth, those part of the large intestine get different diameter. Next slide, next picture, shows different location of the cecum and appendix. It is very important for the surgeons operate the abdominal organ. Sometimes surgeon could find the vermiform appendix here. Sometimes this is a typical position. This is a typical position. In between 2 points on the fourth vertebra, lumbar vertebra, and iliac spinal anterior superior, and this is a point which surgeons use to cut abdominal wall and find appendix. You may ask me why surgeons try to find appendix. That is necessary when this small organ is inflamed, and that is a problem for people, because if this small appendix inflamed, it gets large, and people feel pain here, and sometimes this small appendix can it maybe break. It may be break down, and the fluid from the this inflamed appendix come into the abdominal cavity. That is a serious problem for people, and to avoid such situation, surgeons just cut and get off the appendix. And we called this procedure appendectomy, which means to avoid, to escape inflamed appendix vermiformis. But sometimes appendix could be in the upper level, sometimes it will be even in the epigastrium, but the most problem it would be when we find appendix in the level half of the abdominal cavity. Sometimes it is possible because of the inversal position of abdominal organs. Next is picture of the colon. Colon may be divided into four level. First is colon ascending colon. Second is transverse colon. The third is descending colon, and last part of colon we called sigmoid colon. It is number 4. It means that between cecum and between rectum we find long organ about 1 meter long called colon. This is the name of most part of the large intestine. You have image how different part of the large intestine is related between the serosal covering called peritoneum. I hope you remember that all of organs in abdominal cavity, mostly all organs are covered with the peritoneum. This is serosal layer, and the first part of the large intestine, like cecum, is covered with the peritoneum from all sides, and such position in abdominal cavity we call intraperitoneal position. The ascending colon is covered from 3 sides, 1, 2, and 3, and such covering we call mesoperitoneal. Mesoperitoneal position has also descending colon. Transverse colon, like cecum, has intraperitoneal position. It means from fourth side, this organ is covered by peritoneum. Sigmoid colon also has intraperitoneal position. Rectum, upper part of rectum is intraperitoneal. The middle part is mesoperitoneal, but lower part of the rectum has no serosal layer. We call this position extraperitoneal position of the organ. Now it's time to see how rectum is looked like. Rectum is the final part of the large intestine. It is combined. It is located in the small pelvis, and this is a continued part of the sigmoid colon. As you see, rectum means rectum is it means the direct organ, but actually it is not direct. It is not straight. it has two curves, and they are visible in the upper picture. Rectum is the part of large intestine, about 15 centimeter long, and actually it may be divided into three parts. The first part, superior part of the rectum, called supraampular part, or pars supraampularis in Latin. The large diameter has the middle part of the rectum we call ampulla. This is the ampulla. As you see, there are three internal transverse rectal folds. You see here, first one, second one, and the third rectal folds. We sometimes call them rectal walls, because they are enabled to retain feces while passing gas. It is not a secret, and during digestive process, during the bacterial activity inside of the large intestine, a lot of gas are being produced. So this gas evacuate through the rectum, and these folds keep the feces, but let the gas goes away. And as I've heard, there is about from 7 to 10 liter of different gas expelling from 7 to 10 liter of gas inside of large intestine, but expelling about people expel out about 500 milliliters annually, and milliliter every day, and this is the important process of normal digestion. The inferior part of the rectum we called anal canal, and this is a final 3 centimeters long, short part of the large intestine, and it passes through the levator ani muscle of the pelvic floor and terminates at the anus. So you see here different muscles. This muscle is levator ani. This is one of the muscle perineum, one of the perineal muscles, and this anal canal is look like a tube, and we could see the special longitudinal folds in mucosa. Here is the special longitudinal folds. they are called anal columns, and depressions between anal columns called anal sinuses. I show the anal sinuses. These two structures, columns, anal columns and anal sinuses, cause the exude extra mucus, and this it's produce special fluid, mucus, which lubricate the canal during defecation. So this is a special glands inside of mucus producing lubricant for a good process of defecation. The anus, the external part of anal canal, is normally held shut by the two muscular rings. And let me show you two muscular rings. First one is internal muscular sphincter. We call it internal anal sphincter, and it is composed of smooth muscle, and this is unconscious muscles. We could control these muscles by the brain, but another muscles, it is visible here and here. This is consists from the consist of the skeletal muscles, and that is the muscle of pelvic diaphragm. And the name of these external muscles is sphincter external. This is the external anal sphincter. This is the name. And these muscles is controlled by the brain, because this is one of the muscles of perineal, of the perineal region. In the anal canal, we sometimes, doctors, not me, because I am not proctologist, I am just anatomist, but proctologist is a doctor who help people with problem in the rectal area. Sometimes those doctors see hemorrhoidal veins, and they are located in the external part of the anal canal. We call this disease as a hemorrhoidal problems, hemorrhoidal disease, and it start from arteriovenal anastomosis and some of the nodal vessel nodules in the mucosa of the rectum, which cause a lot of problem for people. Hemorrhoids are permanently distended veins that protrude into the anal canal or form bulges external to the anus. And the last picture I'd like to show you. This is the investigation of the large intestine with the X-ray during X-ray examination. This is a procedure, medical procedure used to examine and diagnose problems with the human colon or large intestine. And first picture, this is a radiograph using barium sulfate. This is special chemicals we put into the large intestine, and it makes all large intestine visible, because it one of the feature of the barium sulfate is good absorption of X-rays, and it is visible. Then the second picture, this is the right position of the picture, is double contrasted large intestine by air and barium sulfate. We see some of the segments of barium, but mostly all large intestines is pumped with air, and good visible all of internal structure of this organ. The name of such examination is irrigography, means examination of large intestine. Next organ is liver. Liver is not very beautiful organ. As you see, the expression, one of the famous Russian writer Anton Chekhov, he said that everything in a person should be beautiful: face, clothes, soul, and thoughts. But he didn't mean the liver, and liver is not very beautiful organ. But if you think that the appearance of the liver is not aesthetically pleasing, then look at the next beautiful picture. And there are excellent corrosive anatomical preparation made by my Chinese colleagues of plastinators. This picture I did in China, and we call these specimens, these casts of liver. Here you see liver here, liver here, and liver here, with another organ of abdominal and thoracic cavity. Here is, I hope you recognized, heart and lungs. Next to the liver, ventriculus or stomach is located, but I hope you guess this organ we called gallbladder. I would say that this specimen, this corrosion cause, is quite beautiful, quite good looking. It is not surprising that in the United States such specimens are considered the art, and sometimes we see such picture in anatomical laboratory and even in another medical offices in the United States. Liver. Latin name is jecur and Greek name hepar. Hepar is more popular. is a reddish-brown gland. This is the biggest gland in our body. This is the largest body parenchymal organ, weighing about 1.5 kilograms. And the liver locates in the right hypochondriac and epigastric regions, something like this. This is the right hypochondriac, this is the epigastric region, but small part of the liver is located in the left hypochondriac area. What kind of function we can demonstrate? What kind of liver function? First is the main function is neutralization of harmful substances entering in our body, and this reason, this is the neutralization of harmful substances, is the reason why we call liver as one of the main organ of the digestive system. And also the liver inactivates some hormones and some drugs and alcohol as well. When we drink alcohol, the liver is responsible for inactivate alcohols. Digestive function of liver is the activity that this organ produce bile, special brown or black fluid come from the liver into the duodenum, the first part of small intestine. And bile, the bile is necessary to break down. It helps to break down and absorb fats coming with food. Metabolic function is function which helps to synthesize or produce proteins, lipid, and some of carbohydrate stores. So liver is responsible for protein, lipid, and carbohydrate metabolism. Immune function. Some of cells, liver cells, phagocyte bacteria, and sometimes destruct foreign substance coming in our body with food. And the last function, this function we call hematopoietic. It means producing red blood cells, but this function is actual only in embryonic period. In adult, there are no hematopoietic function for the liver. Liver is an organ located in right hypochondriac area, has two surfaces. Diaphragmatic surfaces, this one touching diaphragm, and visceral surface is the inferior surface and contacting with the different organ such as the stomach, gallbladder, and pancreas. We distinguish two edges, anterior edges and posterior edges of the liver. Diaphragmatic surface. On the diaphragmatic surface we see only the large right lobe here. The biggest part of liver called right lobe, and smaller part is named left lobe. Two lobes of liver are separated from each other by falciform ligament. Here, falciform ligament, a sheet of mesentery that attaches the liver to the anterior abdominal wall. Superiorly, the falciform ligament forks into right and left coronary ligament. Here, right and left coronary ligament, which this ligament, coronary ligament, suspend the liver from the diaphragm. The round ligament, here you see round ligament or ligamentum teres, is visible anteriorly at the lower end of the falciform ligament. This is a fibrous remnant of the umbilical vein. It functions during embryonic and fetal period and carries blood from the umbilical cord to the liver of a fetus. This is a special vessel connected to the placenta in uterus, and this is an organ producing oxygen and nutritional stores for the fetus. Here, the place of the liver, which is not covered by serosal layer, not covered by peritoneum, and we distinguish that liver is an organ located mesoperitoneal. Next look is the visceral surface of the liver, and from the inferior view we also see a squarish anterior quadrate lobe. Here the anterior small lobe called quadrate lobe. You see also the caudate lobe, and it is near to the posterior edge. And a regular opening between these lobes, this area, is porta hepatis. That is a point of entry for the different anatomical structure. Let me demonstrate. Here in the porta hepatis, in the porta of liver, we see portal vein. It's blue. This is the vein bringing the blood from abdominal organ into the liver. Right to the portal vein is the duct coming from the liver and called bile duct, and left to the vena porta is hepatic artery proper. This is the main artery bringing blood and oxygen in the liver tissue. Posterior position between the caudate lobe is the great vessel called inferior vena cava, and inside of this vein the blood from the liver, filtered blood, come in this caval vein. This is a designation of the structure inside of portal opening, ductus, vena, and arteria. Liver is quite heavy organ, about 1.5 kilograms, so it needs special fixation factors. That is the coronary ligament, left triangular and right triangular ligament, falciform ligament, and round ligament. All of this structure, all of this ligament fix the liver in the upper part of abdominal cavity. Liver has a special connection between stomach and duodenal, and this ligament called hepatogastric and hepatoduodenal ligament number 1 and number 2. Sometimes we call these two ligaments as a lesser omentum. Topography of liver. Here you see different regions of the abdominal cavity, and you see that liver mostly located in the right hypochondriac area, epigastral area, and small part in the left hypochondriac area. This is an examination of the liver in computer tomography, and you see the slice like cutting of liver located in the upper part of abdominal cavity. Here is the horizontal tomography, and we see also liver tissue and veins coming in this organ through the porta hepatis. And relation, as I said, that liver is located mesoperitoneal. It means it is covered by peritoneum from 3 sides. Structural unit of the liver called the hepatic lobule. As you see, hepatic lobule is a part of liver tissue which has about like a thin cylinder, and about 2 millimeters long and by 1 millimeters in diameter. The best picture of the liver is here, of the liver lobe. Lobe is visible octagonal form of the liver lobe. Here the histological structure of the liver, and each lobule consists of a central vein, here, central vein, and with the hepatic sinusoid, it is the capillary vessels, which consists blood, of course, and the hepatocytes located from different sides of sinusoid, and internal from the external surface of the lobula, two vessels are located, artery and vein. But also the green one is the bile duct, and this anatomical structure called hepatic tract. In central position is the vein with the filtered blood coming into the inferior caval vein. Here you see the picture of scanned sinusoid, and we see the blood capillaries with the erythrocytes and macrophages, and between them located hepatocytes, cells of the liver, and visible the bile canaliculi, which is filled with the bile, and this bile is produced by hepatocytes. This is a hepatic lobule, octagonal form, and it is popular anatomical and functional unit of the liver. Sometimes we distinguish portal lobule, and sometimes more popular than portal lobule is a hepatic acinus. This is a oval-shaped structure between two central veins of the hepa. Gallbladder. This is an organ which accumulates the bile, and then excrete the bile into the duodenal cavity. As you see, the hepatic ducts connected to the cystic ducts, and when we don't eat, the bile come into the gallbladder, but when we get food, the bile get out, and through the bile duct come into the duodenal cavity, and the bile is used for digestion of the lipids. Here the bile total bile ducts in the liver and combination liver ducts with the gall duct. And here the radiography of gallbladder and biliary tract, it is the X-ray examination of the bile duct in the body. And the last organ is the pancreas. This is the organ which lies posteriorly to the stomach, extending laterally from the duodenum and toward the spleen. You see here contours of pancreas, and this is a duodenum and the spleen. As you see, the pancreas usually is behind of the stomach, but not under the stomach. In Russian, pancreas called поджелудочная железа, what means that it is located below, but it is not true. The pancreas located behind, but not inferiorly to the stomach. Pancreas is elongated, pinkish gray organ, approximately 15 centimeter long and weighing around 80 grams. The pancreas is secondarily retroperitoneal and it is firmly bound to the posterior wall of the abdominal cavity. Here you can nicely see three subdivisions of the pancreas. Head of pancreas, body of the organ, and tail of the pancreas. So there are three subdivisions of the pancreas. The surface of the pancreas has a lumpy nodular texture. It is visible here. It is not flat. A thin transparent connective tissue capsule wraps this organ. The pancreatic lobulus, actually this small part in the pancreas we called lobula, and the pancreatic lobulus associated with associated blood vessels and excretory ducts are easily seen through the anterior capsule and the overlying layer of the peritoneum. Pancreas duct, that is the common duct, opens into the duodenum and secrete. It consists the secret which produce glands of the pancreas, and we call it digestive juice of the pancreas. It consists of the ferments that help us to digestive food. About 2 liters of the pancreas juice every day people secrete into the duodenum. This is a different 3 picture show how pancreas development. It is visible that 2 parts, 2 surfaces of the pancreas then combine together and form head of this organ. Inside of pancreas we see small structure called acinus. This is the right name, and acinus is the extra exocrine part of the pancreas, but it is visible the small islet which were named by Paul Langergans islets, that works as a endocrine glands, producing very important factors. And here you see this is the external secretion acinus, but here is the internal secretion and called Langergans islet. They produce very important hormones as insulin and glucagon. Insulin and glucagons are very important hormones for the metabolism of the carbohydrates in our body. Actually, sugar inside, the level of sugar inside our blood is controlled by insulin, and insulin lower the blood glucose level, but glucagon increases the blood glucose level, and they are very important. When we have lack of the insulin, the diabetes is strong and bad disease. Is now it is a very popular, and there are about 382 million people worldwide have diabetes. So that's problems I hope we will avoid. Diabetes, we will not eat a lot of sugar and don't get diabetes. I hope so. This is all for now, my friend, and we, as usual, every lecture ends with the test, small test. You could find in the Moodle, and please, the test will be open till tomorrow, and you will have time to get good scores from the test, and I wish you good luck in passing through the test. If you have a question, I am ready to answer. So I'm waiting your question, please. Okay. Well, if there is no question, then let me say goodbye and see you next week.